Excellent. So let's get started. Thank you once again for joining us on a Saturday evening, and good evening, everyone who has joined us on a call. Thank you again for joining us on a Saturday evening for the CEO Story, which is hosted by the PGPMAX team at ISB. The CEO Story is our outreach initiative that brings together alumni of PGPMAX to share their experiences. So it is your opportunity to ask our alumni about the program experience, post-program impact in their careers, how PGPMAX has helped them professionally, or anything that you might have as a query to ask. Do this, please make use of the Q&A box, which is available towards the bottom of the screen, and we'll be happy to share these questions with our panelists as we progress through the session. The Q&A today will be limited to the alumni experiences and specifically to our panelists. So if you do have any program or admission related queries, we will take it up offline. Please feel free to book a one-to-one conversation with the admission office for this, and I'm sharing the link for this in the chat box in a while. Our panel today hosts three of our alumni from the 2012, 2013, and 2014 cohorts. They are from very varied industries and functional backgrounds, and they're also people who went through the program at very different stages in their career. So probably there's a lot for them to share in terms of their experience and how the program has helped. Our host for today's session is Swapna Sridhar. Swapna is a senior software manager with LAM Research and is our current student in the PGPMAX class of 22. Thank you, Swapna, for taking the time to host the event. And let me share the stage to you. It's all yours now.
Thank you, Thomas. You can hear me clearly, right?
All clear. Yes, you're loud.
Thank you for such a wonderful start to this evening. Good evening, everyone. Thomas has already briefed about me, and I'll be moderating this session. So let's get started. As Benjamin Franklin quoted, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. We have two panelists already joined, and a third panel member would be joining soon, who have believed in this quote and invested in Executive MBA at Indian Business School. So let's hear from them on their journey. I take immense pride to introduce our speakers today. Dr. Sophia Mumtaz, President, Pipeline Management Legal, Canada, Australia, and Japan. Dr. Sophia has joined Lupin 20 years ago and today manages Lupin's legal and compliance functions globally and oversees businesses in Canada, Japan, and Australia. She has a doctorate degree in biochemistry from University of Delhi and a management degree from ISB Hyderabad. Next panel member is Feroz Mohammed, founder and CEO Cognida.ai. Feroz is a founder and CEO of Cognida.ai, which is an AI-first technology consulting and software engineering company focused on product engineering, data analytics, data science, and machine learning. Feroz studied computer application, which is a master degree at University of Hyderabad, and graduated from ISB with an executive MBA, which is PGPMAX. When he's not working, he reads a lot and love to spend time with his family. So this is a brief about them. Probably we can get started, Sophia and Mohammed. And I would like you guys to brief more about yourself and get started with thoughts on why did you choose the PGPMAX program, and how did this help in how did life change after graduating from PGPMAX to you guys? Probably we can get started with Sophia.
Sure. Thank you, Swapna. So when I did PGPMAX about actually exactly 10 years ago, I was more an operations person. I was managing R&D. I was managing intellectual property and the like, legal. This is not something that, I was thinking about it, but when I expressed my desire to go manage markets and actually be a business leader, one of the things I was told is that you need to have qualifications which empower you to become a business leader. So I went and did this course from ISB. And as far as how life changed considerably. I mean, there's things, so there's a couple of things. One, you obviously learn new tools, right? As far as I'm concerned, I was able to manage businesses. I today manage businesses over $250 million in various geographies. It gives you the confidence that you can do it. You understand a lot of fundamentals of business, having worked in business for a long time, but the confidence that comes with it, and half of your success, it comes from confidence, not just knowledge. So the confidence which comes from interacting with the different high achieving people from across industries, and that cumulative knowledge that you get when you interact with these people, together with, of course, the best professors and the best knowledge that you can get from ISB, I think really helps you become a very, very well-rounded business professional.
Yeah, kind of, concur with Sophia, right? So, and likewise, I think I did this program about 9 years back. At that point of time, I was with Hitachi. I was handling a sizable part of the portfolio of the business. But then at some point, I think you realize that what got you here, doing more of that is not going to take you further. And as Sophia, rightly related, right? At that point of time, you realize that you got the goods, but you got still some rough edges. And a program like this actually helps you polish that and gives you a much broader view and a lot of formal methodologies, formal tools. And while a lot of it seems intuitive, I think going through this rigor and getting a formal qualification does make you well-rounded and more pragmatic stuff. World is a lot about signaling, and the signaling works. And I think Sophia was mentioning the same thing, right? I think one is, of course, it gives you confidence. You work with the cohort, you understand, saying that, yeah, I've learned more and I can be as good. But the signaling also helps. Having a brand like ISB or any institution, any good brand behind you, I think does make it a lot easier. I think it kind of gives, I would say, makes it a lot easier. It kind of gives you the elbow grease to move forward.
Thank you, Firoz. So I will probably continue with you. If you can share your two important things that you've learned from PGPMAX that helped you in your career, just to get going with the same question.
Yeah, I think for each individual, it's going to be very, very different. For me, I think the biggest learning that I had through this program, I think you learn how to learn. And I think that was the biggest change. And at that point of time, you reach a point where nothing is unsurmountable. You think, saying that, okay, I can pick this up and learn, be it a new philosophy, a concept, a technology, whatever that is. So I think ISB kind of prepares you to learn, not as much teaching you something specific. And at least for me, I think that was a huge learning from this program. And I think the other learning that I had from this program is you learn a lot from the cohort. You learn from professors, phenomenal guys. I think one of the best faculty that the world has to offer. But beyond that, I think you really learn from your cohort. And each one is kind of achieved something, done something, different fields, very, very diverse fields. Like in our class, we had people who are leaders in PVR, leaders in Lupin, which is a pharma company, somebody in GE, industrial company, somebody with homegrown businesses, and people in different stages of progression. And we also had a lot of entrepreneurs. We had people who have actually been there, created something. And that learning, I think, is immense from the cohort. I think those were the two key things that I benefited as far as learning is concerned from the program.
Yeah, I did meet your couple of classmates, Firoz, that last when we hosted leadership summit. Since it was a reunion 10th year celebration, we did meet, and a lot of collaboration and a lot of learnings. Definitely, I agree with you. What is your thoughts on this, Sophia? What was your two key takeaways or two learnings? You're muted, by the way.
So, I already said I was more an operations person, more leading, legal and R&D. I led R&D. So I was more an operation person. Now, in order to become a total business person, a complete business professional, I needed the tools to understand the business aspects, the front end, right? Now, having been, by the time I came to do this, I was pretty, senior in the organization anyways. So I understood a lot of it, but I think it helped me become a well-rounded professional where I had the confidence that I could take on businesses and lead them. I'll be very honest with you, I did not have that confidence before. I might have known kind of, but I didn't have the confidence that I could lead businesses. So yes, it helped me grow professionally. And the second thing it's 10 years since we passed out. It's given me a fantastic network of other senior people that I can rely upon when I need anything, whether it is personal, we have a WhatsApp group, for example. If you have a personal thing, you need some assistance. There is a group of 60 people who are ready to help you. On the professional side, if you need advice about certain things, obviously not confidential, but, in the general sense, if you need advice on the professional side, you get that. I also know that PGPMAX has a women's network, which actually helps other women similarly placed. It's not just a PGPMAX network, it's a I think it's ISB network, where I've seen emails being posted of job openings and people posting their resumes, so it gives you a very wide network to rely upon when you need information on help. Yeah, so you asked for two things. I could go on, but I'm going to stop at two.
Yeah, no, I mean, to continue with the journey of learning, right? See, it is very difficult to strike the balance between personal and professional pursuits. I just want to know from you, how did you manage three aspects: family, work, and study? Because it is an intense course.
So, and I might be the outlier here, but I think work-life balance is a myth, right? Something has to give somewhere. There's only 24 hours in a day, and there's only so much you can do. Having said that, one has to prioritize what is important for you, right? At that point in time, it's not just a life lesson that, this is important, but at that point in time, that week, that day, what is important, you prioritize and take on only those things, right? Because you can only do so much, so you have to balance. Some days family will win, and some days work, and some other days it'll have to be studies. So it's a everyday thing.
Yeah, I agree. And Firoz, you would like to add your comment on how did you manage time and the balance of work, studies, and the yourself as well?
Yeah, I think the first thing that we need to acknowledge is that this is not going to be easy. I mean, it's definitely not going to be easy. And mentally, I think, and I'm sure a lot of people in their current lives as well go through this trying to achieve that balance, right? And as part of that, I think it's important to acknowledge saying that you're not a superhuman. You can't excel in everything. And that probably needs a little bit of a mental programming, because the reality is all the people who come for this program are typically high achievers. And it's very difficult for them to acknowledge saying that I can be second best in anything. Yes. And the reality is, I think you have to choose. And I think, as Sophia said, sometimes some things win. So sometimes family wins, sometimes work wins, sometimes study wins. So I think extremely important to kind of program that. And ISB, I think, helps in that. I think the initial sessions of induction and all this stuff, I think there's a lot of preparation that they try to do. The other thing is, I think, as they borrowing the phrase, right, it takes a family to raise a kid, village to raise a kid. I think it likewise, it takes a village for someone to do an exec MBA. I think you need to involve all the people around you. You need to involve your family, you need to involve your work, your mentors, your extended family. And it's a journey for everyone. And once again, I think ISB does, at least at our times, they used to do a wonderful job. They used to get the family to the first orientation session in the campus, make them, get involved in the process. I'm not sure if they do that now, Swapna, but I think that's one. And on the more pragmatic aspects, practical aspects. So time management, and this is, for any leader, any manager, I think this is one of the big learning. And while our reality is everybody says that this needs to be done, everybody thinks that they do it well. The reality is it is very, very difficult to master that art. I think that's the other learning that you'll probably get as an offshoot from MBA. The guardrails are so strong that you don't have a choice but to prioritize and take things. So yeah, I think you need to do the basics right. You need to exercise, you need to get adequate sleep. And the first 2-3 semesters, you'll struggle through this. And then you realize that, well, I don't need to get top grades, and no one cares about these top grades. And then you kind of start seeing that, okay, this is what is important. And so yeah, I think basics, you need to get it right. And this program will fix that for you. It'll put so many constraints that it'll fix that for you. And most of the places, whether it's ISB's campus or Kellogg that we went to, or any other places, very good places to go around, exercise, run around, cycle in the morning, and your cohort will do it along with you. So I think it gets into the DNA at some point of time. So
yeah. So one thing I really like, you said that involve people, right? Family, work, basically create a support system around you, which will help you to sail through this journey. And like you both said, it is not a simple course. It's an intense course, and a lot of time has to be invested, to get best out of it. I do agree with both of you. Then I think the next question is very common question, and I had when I was trying to or thinking to pursue PGPMAX, because we all know it's an expensive program. So what is your thought on what is the return on investment from this program?
Well, part of once you understand finance a little bit, right, about wealth management, you realize there's different asset classes, and you need to spread your investment across different asset classes. And people try to maximize that, saying that, okay, which asset class is going to give me the highest return? And I think the most profound learning that every individual at some point of time will get is that you yourself are the best asset class that there is. So invest in this asset class, and the returns are going to be immense. There's no such asset class, whether it is mutual funds or gold or real estate or whatever asset class that you pick. There's no asset class which gives more returns than you yourself as an asset class. So this is like a huge investment in upgrading yourself. So in that sense, at a very abstract level, I think the ROI in the long term, no brainer. And regardless of where you do education from, and whether it's MBA or anything else that you are investing in yourself, reading, doing whatever it is, I think that return is immense. Outside of that, I think the more practical aspect, I know initial investment sounds very high and all that stuff. Yeah, I think it kind of very easily pays off, I think, with even more practical jumps in your compensations or promotions within the organization. All of that will be relatively more accelerated. So I think it easily pays for itself for a period of maybe next 5 years or so.
Thank you, Rose. Sophia, would you like to add?
Rose is not left much for me to say, but I absolutely agree that it is the return on investment is, I'm not concerned about that. Everyone here who's today listening to us is here for a purpose. They're looking to do this program for a reason, right? Sometimes you want to move in a different direction. Sometimes you are stagnating in a particular role, is not able to find a way out, or not interested in the job that you're doing, looking to change. So there is a reason And for each individual, that reason is going to be different. For me, it was that I wanted to become a well-rounded professional, business professional. And that happened for me. And I did manage to get what I aspired for and more, in fact. So I think for me, at least, it was a very good return on investment. For each individual, they'll have to assess what is their need, why do they want to do this program, and how does it get them to their desired goal.
Yeah, thank you, Sophia. I think you rightly said the purpose is very important, right? I mean, why one should, correct. Yeah, I do agree with you. And I mean, just to continue, how is PGPMAX perceived in the industry and the company, since you both have graduated quite some time back? I just want to hear from you how the course is perceived outside.
So as far as I'm concerned, the course perception from, I stayed in the same company, right? I was at Lupin, and in my case, at least, Lupin wanted me to go do this course, and we had choices. We could have gone to IIM, we could have gone to ISB. There was like a whole plethora of choices, but after deep consideration, both the company and I chose to go to ISB. So I think the perception within the company is obviously high. That's why, there's not only me in the courses after that, in Firoz's batch, I was a year senior to you, Firoz. I was in 12. I think you were in 13. Yeah. So in Firoz's batch, we had people go for the company. So on and so forth. So I think the perception is pretty good. And I have been watching on and off the industry ratings also. ISB is rated pretty high up, the PGPMAX course.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Firoz, you would like to add your thoughts on same?
Yeah, I think I probably nuance this out a little bit. And when we started out 10 years back, yeah, I think that was definitely PGPMAX as a brand was kind of new. And I'm sure it is kind of much more renowned now. But I mean, what we realized as a class when we were trying to kind of try to promote this, and so I think what we realized is it's the ISB brand that you need to kind of leverage on, not the PGPMAX brand. So I think ISB brand has a huge recall and has got a huge reach. So the association should be more with ISB as opposed to PGPMAX as a brand. I think recently when I was there in the campus, when I was talking to when the dean was addressing the gathering, I think he was referring to the same thing, that they are kind of now going to promote PGP as a holistic brand and not necessarily differentiate between a PGPMAX or a Pro or I don't know. There's probably a few more of those, right? And there's no quote unquote flagship program. So I think that would help a long way. So I think the only nuance that I would do is ISB as a brand is extremely well recognized. I don't know about PGPMAX as a brand, and honestly, I don't care, because at some point of time, you need to rally around the ISB brand as opposed to the PGPMAX brand.
Thank you, Firoz. I would like to know, I mean, what's your thoughts on right time to pursue PGPMAX and Executive MBA at anyone's career?
Yeah, I think there's nothing called a right time, yeah, I think you definitely. I mean, my strong belief is that for everyone, instead of doing an MBA, should do an exec MBA. Because MBA is too early. I think the concepts that they teach you become very theoretical unless you've actually fought it on the field, on the ground. Your ability to relate to stuff, whether it's an organizational behavior stuff, or let's say in M&A, they talk about specific examples of value atrophy or whatever. A lot of this, if you have actually gone through that, I think you'll be able to relate and assimilate a lot more. So, I mean, my take is people should have at least about 10 years of experience, or maybe 7, 8, 10 years of experience before they, come in. And beyond that, I think it doesn't matter. I think, I did it quite late in the game. I did it when I was already a EC member within the company. I was probably at the top in the company when I did it. And I was like, 42 years old when I did this program, or 43 years old when I did this program. So, and there were people in my class who were much wiser and elder to me. There were people who were more younger to me as well. So I don't think it matters after that. But a basic minimum of 10 years, 8 to 10 years would be really helpful.
Thank you. Sophia, you would like to add a few lines?
No, I agree. I think we had people across, from about 35 to about, I would say, 55 who were doing it. But I do believe that 8 to 10 years of experience, you see, if you're like close to your retirement age, I guess it probably doesn't matter unless you're going to go start a startup or something and you really needed the tools. But 10 years in, I think you have enough experience. You know what you want, right? You know where you want to take your career, because often when you pass out of college, whatever that degree is, you don't really know what you want. I have changed my careers. My career trajectory has changed from being a scientist to being a legal professional to being a business professional. So, it's changed across the board. So 10 years in, you really know what you want from life, or at least have an idea of what you want. You never actually really ever know what you want from life. It keeps changing, but at least you have a fair idea of where you're going. And that's the time when you would, 10 years on, when you would want to, 8 to 10 years, that you would want to take the plunge.
Sophia, my next question is only to you, because I think I see a lot of female panelists, attendees have joined. And this is common question I do get when I meet people outside of my company as well. So what do you think is the most significant barrier to a female leadership? And how do you, how does PGPMAX help to overcome it? Do you have any thoughts on this?
The most significant barrier, and I'm being a little elitist here when I say this is ourselves. We are our most significant barrier, because from the very beginning we are taught to be second, right? So these are cliche terms. We don't lean in. We don't. If our husband's traveling, I've had so many team members, brilliant girls, who do not put their careers first, right? For whatever reason, socials, whatever reason, they don't put their careers first. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. But that kind of explains why we do not have too many leaders at the top, right? There is no right or wrong about it. For each individual, what they want from their life and what their family situation or their social situation is different. But that kind of explains why we do not have too many leaders at the top. What can we do to have more? I think we are already doing that. I think more and more girls are getting educated. More and more women are entering the workforce, right? More and more women are staying in the workforce than before. So as the society is developing, so is women involvement in workforce. So I'm sure we'll see it soon, more and more.
Thank you, Sophia. I think even PGPMAX admission team has putting a lot of effort in admitting IND candidates as well. I think there is a special category of sponsorship for female people who would like to pursue this program. And I'm very happy to say we the highest batch of IND candidates. So we are 17% in 2022 cohort from the diversity candidates.
That's amazing.
Numbers are growing. Yeah.
In our batch, I think there were 6 or 7.
Yeah, we are, I think, more than 13, 14. Thank you. And I think my next question before we open up for Q&A is to hear from both of you on your experience on the international immersion, because we know that the course offers two international immersions. So I would like to hear from you, how was it? What was your experience?
Yeah, I mean, before I respond to this, Swapna, I think just a quick mention. I think, again, I know that there are two philosophies to this and two sides of looking at it. I would not refer to our other colleagues and cohort and I mean, female members or whoever it is as diversity candidates or as part of a diversity group and all that. So I think just thought that mention that. I think I mean it's the same program, same group, the same stuff. You're going through the same hardships, maybe even more, and there may be other people who might be going with more hardships on whatever. So I think at no point there should be in any difference of consideration on that this is different. So it gives a very different connotation, saying that, okay, maybe there's an easier path to this because of, so yeah, I think just thought of mentioning, saying that maybe even ISB needs to drop that definition of a diversity group or a diversity focus and all that. So good, sorry about that. I think we'll move on. I missed the question if you were to repeat it again.
Yeah, question was about international immersion and share your experiences, because we know that we get two international immersion as part of our course. So
yeah,
just wanted to hear from your experiences on both.
No, I think in our year, I know it's been varying, but in our year, we were fortunate. We went to the US for two different universities. We went to Wharton, and Wharton School was all about, I think we learned about M&A and some part of strategy in Wharton. Then we also had a different program and a session at Kellogg's. And Kellogg's was all about marketing. And so, I mean, that was one set of programs in the US. I mean, two different universities, two different campuses. And then we had one in Brazil. So I don't know if ISB still does. There's an institution called FDC. And it was, we are I mean, part of that program. We went to Brazil and had some sessions in Brazil, more about the overall global economics, the dynamics, and some part of competitive strategy and all that. Amazing. I think both these things were very, very amazing. And one is you get to interact with the professors in these institutions, and you also get a sort of an understanding of what an MBA from Wharton feels like, right? And what an MBA from Kellogg feels like, what an MBA from FDC feels like. So yeah, I think it's been amazing. And the other part is it lets you bond quite closely as a cohort. I mean, you just don't go for these sessions, but you go around with the team. I mean, book the travel together. You are sitting in airport lounges. You are kind of navigating the same stuff. So yeah, I think it's definitely very, very, very enjoyable, I would say.
Yeah, I agree with you, because we also booked 4 days ahead to roam around in New York, and we were 30 of us together. So it was really fun.
Yeah, we actually from Philly to New York, we rented two of those buses, and I mean those party buses, right? And of course, I mean there was enough to go around in terms of spirits as well. So it was very good drive over to New York, and generally fun along the way. So
Spirited drive,
yeah.
So our class also had 3 immersions. Like Feroz already mentioned it, one in Wharton, another in Kellogg. The third one was in Brazil, which I couldn't attend. Like I said, some days work wins, some days family, some days studies, and that time work won. I couldn't, because of work reasons, attend the Brazilian immersion. So ISB actually had a fallback, that for those people who couldn't attend one of the immersions, they had a fourth one, that we could go to. So 3 of us actually went to Russia for an immersion, and that was a different experience of studying in a Russian university, interacting, a different culture totally. So it was very interesting as well.
Thank you, Sophia.
Yeah.
I think we can open up for question Q&A from our audiences. Thomas, do we have any questions?
So we've just got one, which is so it is on how women comprise a smaller percentage of total entrepreneurs in India, which is about 13.76% from the larger population. So what is holding Indian women back from entrepreneurship is a question that has come in. I think we can probably draw it back to Feroz and Sophia's experience also with the cohort. How was the entrepreneurial experience in the cohort? And probably if you can share some examples from the cohort, that would be great.
Yeah, I'd respond to that, but I think that statistic is wrong. I mean, I can very, very emphatically say that statistic is wrong. So I think it's a very myopic definition of what an entrepreneur is. And the 13% or whatever that figure has come up is probably a measurement using some criteria. But if you actually look and go into any village in India, right, the women entrepreneurs are way more than the men entrepreneurs. You see women running small shops, you see women taking care of cattle, milking them and selling the milk, managing the family and selling the milk, managing this and setting a small shop. Interestingly enough, if you actually look deeper, a lot of the unorganized entrepreneurships, trying to do something small, sell some sabji along with what you are doing. I think all that, the number of women involved in that are way more than the men. And I think by nature, women try out a lot of things to make things work. And some of that are commercial in some sense. Whether they are successful and how successful they are and all this stuff, that's a different discussion. But I don't think that statistic is right at all to begin with. I don't think it is 13%. It's a very myopic measurement of looking at it. At least, I mean, and I've seen India quite a lot. I've seen not just India, I think good parts of the world. I've traveled adequately. I'll tell you that there's a lot more entrepreneurship than what gets measured today. So.
And also, to your question, Feroz, what is entrepreneurship, right? Is it just starting your own business at a very large scale? You just mentioned we have so many entrepreneurs who do small businesses, right? Is it can a person working for like Lupin, can I also be an entrepreneur? It's the entrepreneurial spirit which counts, right? So one of the things I did after I came back from ISB, like I'd been always asking for front end role, and I was told, we don't have any presence in Canada, why don't you go set up a business there, right? So it was literally starting from scratch and building it to a $50 million business, right? That's entrepreneurship. How do you do that? Where do you go to license products? Do you do it internally? So I think, I agree. I think that statistic is kind of limited. I maybe there is a 13% cohort of that entire entrepreneurial bandwidth, but it's not all of it. Having said that, it's a social thing, right? Where women don't get into education or don't get to the corner office. It is a social problem, and it cannot only be solved through, higher education. I think it has to be solved from by changing the mindsets of people. Education is one thing which can completely change where a person comes from and where they end up. I mean, one example, I was just hearing the story of Google CEO Sundar Pichai, right? He came from a middle-class background. Today, he heads the largest organization in the world, right? and that's education. So it's very powerful. But how many have, in a country like ours, how many have access to it, and how many have access to education which is at a higher level, or even how many have parents or families which encourage them, men and women both, more so women. So I think it's a social problem also, right, which needs to be handled at that level.
Thank you, Sophia and Firoz. I think we have next question. Thomas, you would like to read out, or I can take it up?
Yeah, you can take it up, Swapna. So I think we have questions now following in. So you can take it up. And for our audience, please do share in your questions to the Q&A box so that we can share it with our panelists as we progress.
And also, Thomas, do they have a option to unmute and talk as well using a hand raise option?
We can enable that. If somebody
Okay.
wants to talk, if they can raise their hands, we can enable that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, next question is, do your prospects increase in the job market after doing PGPMAX course? In other words, is the PGPMAX program equal to a traditional MBA in terms of enhancing your brand value? I think I would like Firoz and Sophia to help with this question.
Yeah, I think this is I mean, everyone when we came in, right? I mean, for some of us who was part sponsored by the company, and for us, it wasn't about looking for a new job. It was more about progression within the same organization, right? But then, yeah, more than half the cohort had this question or issue, right? Saying that, I mean, how is ISB going to provide a platform for us? Will we get opportunities through ISB? Will we and how does this going to help me get a new job and all that? Yeah, I think it eventually does. It opens more doors. ISB brand helps a lot of value. But I think what you would realize by the end of the program, while in the middle of the program, these are the questions that kind of bother you. But by the time you get to the end of the program, I think I'll go back to what Sophia was mentioning, right? There is a level of confidence that comes in at that point of time, by the time you're done with the program. And at that point of time, you don't care, you don't need anything. You say that, okay, I'm good enough to go and sell to the world. I'm good enough to go make a mark. So I think it kind of becomes a moot point at that point of time. So. But otherwise, I think, I mean, the theoretical response to this is yes, there are, I mean, groups, and because you are a part of a much larger group, opportunities are a lot more. The funnel is much higher that you get to see. And then in your own network, I think you will get to know people, and the chances are higher. And with at least the ISB alumni, you will get a meeting. So if you're, I mean, very seldom I have seen somebody trying to reach out, whether on LinkedIn or email or phone or something, saying that I am an ISB alum, I would want to talk for 5 minutes. So seldom do you get, decline the opportunity. So yeah, I think it does open doors in that sense.
Sophia, would like to add?
So I did not go looking for a job, but I do know that several in my class did. And they did get jobs that they were looking for. So I'm assuming that yes, it does help, but personal experience I don't have. I have seen, like I mentioned before, on let's say the women's network, ISB Women's Network. People are posting job opportunities. People are posting their resumes. Connections are being made, why don't you send me your resume, and my husband's in this company and I'm going to follow. So I think those kind of things do happen. So you do have a larger network to tap into when you're when you're in PGPMAX. So I since I don't have personal experience, I'm little hesitant to say whether, if I'd gone out in the market, I would have had a better job. Probably, yes.
Thank you, Sophia.
Yeah.
I think from the attendee, Vijay wants to know, he's from information security operation role. So how does the program support in transforming from a technical to a business leader role? So that is the question from Vijay.
I am an example of that. I managed R&D, I managed legal, and from a technical to a business role, that transformation happened for me. So I'm an example of how that did help that. Because, see, it's not just what you can do, what you think you can do, or what you believe you can do. It's also what others think, right? It's also how others perceive you, right? If others don't perceive you as capable of doing something because of your qualifications or whatever the reason is, then they're not going to be able to give you that opportunity to do so, right? So it helps with the perception. I might have anyway made a great business leader, but nobody was going to give me a chance to do so, right? Because there's a lot of money involved. So people, it's also how others perceive you, that's important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with your comment, Sophia. I don't see any other question, Thomas.
So I have a few questions which have come in, which has a lot of numbers attached. So there's somebody who has asked, I've got 10 years of experience. Is it right to do the program now? Another person has asked, I have 15 years of experience. Is it good to do the program now? Somebody has about 25 years of experience and he's asking, am I at too later a stage to do the program? So since a lot of these numbers have come in, and I'm sure Sophia and Feroz, you would have gone through a very diverse community of individuals in the class who come with varied years of experience. So the question, let me rephrase the question as this. When is it the right time to do PGPMAX? What would your advice be?
Thomas, you weren't listening to this session. Just kidding. No, I think we did dwell upon this
No,
earlier
absolutely.
on.
In fact, I think that's why we need to focus on it more, because you did mention that executive MBAs are much better than MBA. So maybe
And I think there's no such real number, but I think about 8 to 10 years of minimum experience is probably what would be good to make the most out of it. And on the higher end, I think I don't think on the higher end any number is a restriction. I think in our, I did it when I was 42 years old, and there were people in my class who were much wiser and older than me, and likewise there were people who were younger than me as well. So I think I think Sophia also mentioned there are people who have done it at 55 years of age. There are people who have done it at 35 years of age.
Yeah.
So at any point of time, I think learning doesn't have an age barrier. And
I had 20 years of experience.
Yeah.
By the time I came to do PGPMAX. Yeah, agreed, Feroz. I mean, as long as you think that you have, you can benefit from it, I think any age is good.
Yeah, even in my class, I think the experience ranges from 12 to all the way 35 years.
Yeah.
Diverse class of experience and the industry and the domain as well.
Yeah.
Thomas, any other questions from the
attendees? I see that two of our participants have raised their hands, so I'll enable them to talk and ask their questions. So I think Akshay, I'll enable you to speak up first. You can ask your question to the panelists now.
Yeah, hi, am I audible?
You are.
Yeah. Thanks for giving me a chance to ask questions. I actually have two questions. One is in terms of the time commitment, how many hours per week on average would you say is required for this course? And secondly, if you could throw some light in terms of the admissions criteria and how does one increase their chance of getting accepted into the course? Thank you.
Akshay, there are a lot of program related questions there, so probably I'll be happy to help you offline with the program, but there are two takeaways that I'll share with the panel. Now, with the panel, given the experience that you've seen in your cohort, what is that you found that stood out from the cohort. So what is that ISB would be looking for in a right cohort for PGPMAX community? So probably if you can share your experience given this experience that you've had with others in the cohort, I think that will help Akshay.
So Akshay, just to understand your question, when you say how many hours, you're saying of coursework, in-class teaching, or were you talking about also,
No,
outside?
So from what I understand, 1 week in a month, we'll be spending physically in the class. But apart from that, when you're, at your regular job, when you're at home, then how many hours per week does one need to commit towards the course?
So I can tell you,
doing homework.
Yeah,
or whatever.
I can tell you for myself, I gave up my workout time because there's only, your time is limited. So I actually kind of gave up my 1 hour in the morning that I used to go work out. And then you study on the weekends because there's no other time.
Okay. So it's
yeah. There are assignments, there are take-home assignments that you have to go study and do. But like Feroz mentioned, it's not about getting the top mark in the class. I mean, I know, people who are very competitive and are aspiring for that. It's about learning. It's about learning the tools that you need to get to the next phase.
Got it.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I think that other part that I would mention is, yes, I think the amount of time that you need during your, outside of the campus, if you will, outside of that 1 week in the campus. My recommendation, and I would tell this to people who come and take up this program, I think post taking up the program, that spend as much time as you can in doing the pre-read, finishing the assignments, and a lot of people in our group as well, I've seen them make that mistake of trying to do that work in the campus when you're there at that point of time. I think in my mind, campus is only about absorbing from the faculty as a sponge. One, second, party. I think network. When I say party, I think network. Believe me, I think the biggest value out of this is going to come from your network. So every minute that you have available in the campus, spend time connecting with somebody, having a coffee with someone, talking to people, going out for hikes with them, do everything else other than just heads down study. There's enough time available for you to do the heads down prep and study before that. I mean, that's been my way of looking at it. So yeah, there is a lot of work. I think if you want to maximize this program, you'd have to do a lot of pre-work so that you have free time in the campus to actually bond and network. Actually,
it's funny you should say that. Out of that bonding come opportunities. So at least, two of our class, three means we've had 3 startups out of our class, which 2 students joined and started. So business opportunity comes, where you meet somebody who's like-minded, wants to do the same thing, and you go and start your own a new venture. So those things have happened as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you. That's very good advice. Thanks.
Thanks, Akshay. There's Chandrasekhar who also has raised his hand. Chandrasekhar, I've enabled you to speak up. You can share your question, please.
You're on mute in case you're talking, Chandrasekhar.
Hello.
Yes,
we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah,
Yes.
myself, Chandrasekhar. I'm from Hyderabad. I have a question. Actually, I have 10 plus years of exposure into pharmaceutical segment. I'm working as a product manager for Reading Pharma based at Hyderabad for international marketing. Now I would like to, thinking to learn, thinking to seek the course of postgraduate. I mean to say that professional certificate in product management course. What is the difference between both this product management course as well as the PGPMAX? So how can you differentiate these both courses?
we'll leave that for Thomas to answer, I guess.
Right. Chandrasekhar, again, what I would recommend here is that I'll share the link for a one-to-one conversation. I'll be happy to look at your profile, go through the experience that you've had, and then recommend some programs to you. But in a gist, what I can definitely tell you is that probably the other program is a deep dive into a functional role, functional area of expertise, whereas the PGPMAX is more of a executive MBA offering. So it is very generalist in nature, covers a breadth of requirement for general management as an offering. And that is one difference. Let me share this link in the chat box again. Please do book a one-to-one conversation. I'll be happy to look at your profile and help you.
Fine. Thank you. Sure.
Excellent. So we are open for Q&A. If there are other questions, we can take it now. Else, we can look at winding the session. Okay, we don't have any questions on Q&A. So probably one last takeaway that I would request Firoz and Sophia to share is your advice for somebody who is sitting out there, somebody who is part of this call, who is looking at this program, who is considering this program. What would your advice be to them? What should they know about before taking this leap?
I'll let you go first, Sophia, if you.
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know what happened to my computer. Learn computer skills, but what would be my advice to people who are entering? Sorry, actually, I missed that because I was trying to figure out my computer.
Sophia, so I was asking, what would your advice be for somebody who is considering the PGPMAX program? What should they know about before taking the leap?
I think people who are considering this program should have, I'm sure they're all very smart people. They probably already know why they are considering this program, right? Like I said, there has to be, if you're already, on the right path to your career, you're not looking to change, then you're probably not looking to do this course. But if there is some value add that you're looking to do, right? If you're looking to grow in an organization where you're stagnating, or if you're looking to diversify your role, or if you're looking to, like somebody just now mentioned, whether he should do a technical MBA, which is more focused on those kind of skills, or a general MBA, which is, going to make you a more rounded, in a leadership role. So I think those kind of going in, you should know why you're doing this course, right? Yeah, I think one should be very clear of what your end game is.
Yeah, I think my personal experience through this program and my sincere advice to anyone trying to do this or this sort of programs is that I think this is your chance to relive your college days, your school days. I think this is a chance for you to build a strong network and very close network. So I'm sure most of us actually can pick up the phone and talk to anybody from our school days and from our primary school days and school days, whom we have spent like 10, 15, 20 years with those kids growing up, right? You can pick up a phone and talk about anything. I mean, you can start the conversation with a 4-letter word, and which most of us normally do when you're talking to your childhood friends. And you have an opportunity to rebuild or create another set of such group. And I think that is extremely, extremely valuable. Today, I can say with a lot of sense of pride and that in our class today, we probably out of the 40 odd people that we had, or probably I think class of 50 plus that we had, we still meet every year, and at least 50-60% of us meet every year annually. They get together And out of that, maybe 20, 30 of them have different groups have bonded very, very closely. And you can pick up a phone and talk to anyone. And today I can probably pick up a phone and talk to 20 such people who are CXOs in the who's who in various organizations, and open the conversation with a 4-letter word saying that I need this, merko ye chahiye today. And that I think is an immense amount of, you'll enjoy it. I think you have a network that you can rely on. People really try to come forward and help. It's your opportunity to rebuild another group like that, another, classmate group like that. So I think strive for that. Put all your energies in kind of, baki, everything else will happen. I think all guys are smart. They will learn the stuff. They will figure out how to navigate. They'll figure out how to do well in life. They'll figure out how to do well. And a lot of these things will help. I think having a very strong support group, friends network and group, I think that gives you a huge amount of privilege and access to knowledge.
Thank you, Firoz and Sophia, for taking your time out on your weekend to join us and share your experience on pursuing PGPMAX and how the purpose is important and how the networking is helping you guys, and what is the importance of the course and why did you guys choose this program, and all the information you have shared is extremely insightful. I thank you both for joining this call today, and thank you, Thomas, as well.
Thank you all. Thank you, Swapna, for hosting this session. Thank you. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much.
Have a great
Pleasure.